Let me gamble with your money and I can still earn money. Why not? Give it a try. I'm pretty sure when you look at it, it's more safe trading. I traded Tesla, I traded Nvidia, and so far it's looking good.
Congratulations on passing on your 10K account. And that's a huge milestone. And congratulations once again. So let's start with a quick intro. Ingo, can you please tell me a little bit about yourself? What do you do outside trading? How did you come to trading?
Sure. Yeah. So basically, I work a full-time job in the analytics area. So always have been in the analytics and data warehousing field. And yeah, basically, I started looking at trading as kind of like, potentially earn some more like money on the side, so to speak. And so far it's looking good.
Awesome. Awesome. And when did you start learning trading?
It's relatively recent. So, and it's like I really, like you said, I just started. So it's not like that. I'm kind of like an expert for multiple years or anything. Um, I started looking into like, a few news groups, a few kind of like, things and came across basically the website and kind of like I started. So it's perhaps like, 6, 7 months now. So it's not like, a long time.
Amazing, amazing. And did you trade with brokers or did you just trade with demo accounts?
I did trade with demo account or then basically at the end was my own account, but mainly, without the kind of like, brokerage or anything, just kind of like by myself, right? It's not, it's not at an amount where I basically kind of like need to have the big kind of like broker account or anything.
Yeah, it takes time to accumulate capital for sure. And how did you find out about Pivex and what made you to go with us?
And actually, I came across on Google and Facebook about on it, and I thought, hey, give it a try if you basically willing to start to speak, kind of like, let me, well, I use my words now, let me gamble with your money, so to speak, and I can still earn money. Why not give it a try, right? So that's the whole idea.
Yeah, yeah, that's the whole idea. Awesome. So now let's talk about your trading journey and your strategy. Um, how would you describe your trading strategy? Is it more technical, fundamental?
Well, I looked up kind of like, the first thing I noticed is that basically the items I can trade in the demo account are obviously limited. So I kind of like, and I stick to basically things that, so to speak, I knew. As an example, if you go back in history, I traded basically like Tesla. That one worked out relatively well. I traded Nvidia, which in the last couple of days didn't work out very well, so to speak. You can obviously, I think everybody got kind of like a little bit crashed on that one. Um, so I stick to kind of like, so to speak, things that I knew, and also things that I picked up a little bit in like, WhatsApp groups and news group where people were talking about kind of like, their tradings and I'm pretty sure when you look at it, it's more safe trading, so to speak, kind of like, not huge, like, risk, but yeah, it worked out pretty good.
Awesome, awesome. And are you able to share your screen right now and to show some of the trades, some of the historical trades that you had?
Sure. Yeah, so basically it shows kind of like the overall trend, and kind of like, the initial balance and at the end when I kind of like passed the thousand, like the 10% like increase. And let me go down to the traits. So as I mentioned, you can basically see I focused mainly on like, in this case, like two, three things. So Nvidia was basically still on a pretty good growth path when I basically got it. And then it was either Ripple or like, Dog USD from a crypto perspective because they were also like, there was quite some up and down in both of them that, I was able to leverage to basically get a pretty good kind of like, growth going, so to speak. And it was all over a period of, so when you see the first was basically, the first was in November, and then so it was like 2.5 weeks, so to speak.
Amazing, amazing. And now you can go to the trading platform to describe some of the traits, some of the highlighted traits.
Yeah, again, it's a very similar picture. So when let's start basically at the bottom. So you can see again, I started kind of like with Ripple. They were on a pretty good upward trend. You can see basically it wasn't a big like growth on the price itself, but obviously based on just the sheer number, so to speak, again, the first $200 came in. Similar in the dog USD, it's not like a huge trend always like upwards that I was able to get.
Mhm.
It's like, perhaps what, 5, 6%, or like, but the sheer amount basically then obviously like grows it like from an absolute perspective. And then you can see also the two NVIDIA trades that I was able to do, basically kind of like, 4 or 5% each time. The one I got in a little bit cheaper. And so it was basically, it was going down, and then basically it was making a big step upwards. Similar than the last trade that basically got me over the 10%, again from a crypto perspective, right?
Amazing, amazing. And I have one question. Uh, I see on the chart that you don't have really indicators much. So do you base your trading decisions based on some news, or do you base it on just pure price action? So you're just looking at the price and deciding.
Yeah, so far I was purely looking at the price, right? Kind of like, like to see, I was always putting in the take the profit, kind of like, um, and kind of like, purely going by price, not kind of like any other items.
Amazing, amazing. Well, that looks very clean. I rarely see this sort of charts and this sort of setups. Amazing work. And you just started pretty recently, right? Just month you mentioned you just started trading and learning. Amazing progress, amazing. And many actually, I came to it much later to just a clean setup that doesn't really bother. Amazing, amazing. And, you can stop sharing the screen, everything is, great. Just wanted to clarify one thing. I saw a lot of different assets. So Ripple, you traded Dodge, then you also traded stocks, NVIDIA. And, what was the decision factor why you went for it, these assets? Was it because you just were familiar with them? Was it because they were growing at that time, and how did you spot them?
Yeah, mainly because they were growing, right? They were like on an upward trend. I started like, looking into like obviously in the current situation, like a little bit into like silver and gold. Because again, you can see that there was that upward trend. There wasn't anything specific in terms of like, any reasoning. It was more like, okay, what are the items currently going upwards as we speak, so to say.
Amazing. And where did you find about them that they were growing at that period of time? Did you use them tools on our platform, or was it just
That was basically to some degree also out of like some other WhatsApp groups and news groups, in terms of where other people were basically also predicting quite some upwards trends on the crypto part, and kind of like technology. That's how the Nvidia came in. I mean, obviously, Nvidia, Tesla, those guys, was pretty obvious that they were going to grow. So yeah, that was pretty it. Um, and then obviously, as part of the tool, like the product itself, you have all the like what's happening in news in terms of like, federal rates and those kind of things. Obviously, like you pay attention to those a little bit as well, then, right?
amazing? Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. And during the hard times, during your first attempts in the challenge, what strategy or what did you change that was able to help you to pass this challenge and move on stronger?
I think it was, I mean, basically I didn't go overboard with the trades. I wasn't going like, okay, I want to take all the money and put it in one bucket. I kept always like each position around, I think 25 to 3000. I didn't go like, okay, let's take 7 or 8,000 bucks and put it on one. So that in case basically it goes wrong, it's not completely, a disaster. And then I tried big. I kept an eye on kind of like, at least once or twice a day. I did put in the take profit always, I didn't in the beginning, I didn't put kind of like the stop loss. Obviously, you learn that pretty quick. And then, that was pretty much it. I wasn't going for kind of like having a position that brings in 3 or 4,000 like profit. It was more like, okay, let's get to the 1,000, and if that means having, like, 6 or 7 smaller positions that bring in, like, 200 bucks each, that will do as well.
Awesome, awesome, amazing. And one of the questions that we like to ask: what advice would you give to someone who is just starting, just like you, a few months ago, and in order to pass the challenge, in order to trade better?
I think for me, the key was what I just mentioned, multiple smaller positions and, don't get, so to speak, like, don't go overboard, like, keep it small to begin with, and then, use the take profit, use the stop loss, so that you're not ending up with like, even if it does go down, you're not ending up with like, several hundred bucks in the loss and kind of like lost the challenge right there. Basically, and then keep an eye on kind of like what's happening, like even sometimes during the day, because there could be like movements from like, 10-15% on a single day, which obviously for the first challenge, it could be a huge benefit if you actually can take that and get like, one or two positions with like, a couple of percent right there. Right.
Amazing, amazing. That's one piece of advice that I tell everyone to listen to. Amazing. And now regarding just your overall experience, how was your overall experience with Pivex so far?
Yeah, it was good. It was pretty easy to kind of like get along with and kind of like pretty easy to use. Like, no complaints there.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you. And would you recommend Pivex to other traders, and why?
Sorry, say it again?
Or would you recommend Pivex to other traders, and why?
To me, it was basically just kind of like simple and easy to use, right? All the important items were there, like kind of like, so when you had all the kind of like information on the chart, but you also had like right away your net take profit, your kind of like, your stop loss, all the items were there that if you could pretty much do everything in one go, saying, okay, yes, I'm gonna buy, but I'm gonna take, this is where I take the profit, this is where I want to stop it, and off you go. And the rest pretty much, as soon as you did that, the rest was like, happens then automatically, so to speak, right?
Yep. Awesome. 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 And one last question: what is your main motivation? What is your main goal with trading?
I guess that's the answer is probably everybody is the same, right? Everybody wants to make some money. Um, that's it, plain simple, right? I mean, there's nothing to hide, right?
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Thank you so much, Ingo, for your time. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Really appreciate it. And your journey is truly inspiring. How you went just few months and you already passing your challenge, and just some golden piece of advice that you gave to other traders. Amazing. Thank you so much. Congratulations on your success, Ingo.